Hey, and welcome to another episode of my Minecraft modding tutorial. First thing I'm going to do before we move on to the promised subject of this video, which is, of course, making your own custom block, is I'm going to head into my .minecraft directory, and I'm going to rename my MCP folder to whatever I'd like my mod to be named. You can do this if you want, you don't have to, but I'm going to name it mod-better villages, because by the end of this tutorial I hope to have made a fully functional mod that does exactly what it sounds like it would do. Expand upon the current villages in Minecraft to give them, say, a persistent memory of the player, so if he goes in and lights their village on fire, they know not to be friendly to him next time they see him, or say, maybe set up trade routes between different villages, maybe get the villagers to actually work, have miners, lumberjacks, whatever. Of course, all of these features are far off into the future, and for right now we're just going to be focusing on creating your first block. But, that's a little bit of what you can look forward to in the future. So the first thing we're going to do, after renaming our MCP folder here, is that whenever Eclipse loads up, we're going to have to tell it where the new directory is. If you did not rename it from MCP, you don't have to worry about doing this. But, as you can see, I just went to mod-better villages, Eclipse, OK. You let Eclipse load up again. And this is where we left off last time. So, once this loads up here, there's one thing I'd like to point out first, and that is this big bang over server and the 2 errors down here. Again, that's just because I did not include server in the MCP decompilation, so of course server is not there. In fact, if you just expand the errors out, the errors are literally that project server is missing and that it doesn't know what to do because the build path is missing. Of course, that's not going to affect anything that we do. We're not going to touch the server, so that's okay. Just going to go ahead and expand client over here, source, and that's where all the delicious vanilla Minecraft files are, just waiting for us to poke around in them and figure out how they work and modify them to our heart's content. Of course, we're not going to be modifying any vanilla files. That kind of sounded wrong. Anyway, first thing we're going to do is we're going to open up this file here called basemod. This is something from ModLoader. As you can see, it's got a couple different, sorry, I can't remember what they're called. I wanted to call them functions, but I know that inside of a class like this, that's not the proper name. Methods. A couple different useful methods through here. You got add fuel if you want to make, say, a new wood block and you want the furnace to be able to burn it. You've got, let's see, what's another useful one? Alright, you've got taken from crafting table. Even though it's empty, you can tell by the name fairly much when it'll be called, what you should put in here, things like that. There are a couple confusing ones, like, let's see. Get string version. For example, I really am not sure what this is. I think this is just for your mod version, not for the Minecraft version. So, for example, whenever we go in and we create our mod, it's going to be like 0.01, for example, because it'll be the very first iteration of our mod that we're making. And speaking of making our mod, you can go ahead and poke around through here for a little while longer if you want, but I'm going to go ahead and close it, and going to do, where am I going? Alright, new, this little box right here on the left, class, and I'm going to name it mod_. Now that's very important because ModLoader will only look for files that start with mod_. Anything else it ignores. So it must be named mod, all lowercase, _. After that, you can type whatever you want. It can be complete gibberish like that. In my case, I'm going to be calling it better villages. But if you wanted to say make a space mod then, you know, you might call this mod underscore space station or something like that. So let's just move on. As you can see, it'll spit out this file right here. It's got mod underscore better villages like that. And before we do anything else, I want to do extends base mod, like I said before. Now if I can just manage to spell that right. There we go. Okay. And what that tells it is that it inherits all of the ModLoader features. And I'll get into that in a second. But as you can see, we've got a red squiggly line, which means error, under mod underscore villages. And it says the type mod underscore villages must implement the inherited abstract yada yada yada. Basically what that says is that there's things in base mod that we need to override. You know, functions, blank functions that we need to fill in. So actually, if you just come up here and click Add Unimplemented Methods, wait for a second. My Eclipse didn't just crash, did it? Hold on. Well, usually it doesn't do this, but anyway. Okay, there you go. You can go ahead and take these off. They don't really do anything. And to me, they kind of look like they clutter up the code a little bit. I don't know about you, but yeah. Anyway, here's my string get version, like I was talking about just a second ago. I'm not real sure if this one's the Minecraft version or a mod version, but I always just put in the mod version, which for us right now would be 0.01, because this is our very first release. It's not a full version, and we're not into beta, so we should do alpha. That's not necessarily what these numbers mean. I realized I was pointing them out as I was saying that. But that's just the numbering scheme that I like to use. Alright, and under public void load right here, I'm really not sure what is supposed to go in here, so I always just wind up leaving this blank. So, you know, if anyone else out there has anything better to do with it, then go on right ahead. Maybe you could post it in the comments for everyone else to see, for me to see. So yeah, now that that's done, we can go ahead and make our constructor. A constructor is pretty much instructions on how to build this class. For example, you can think of class as like a template. Think if this was mod underscore person, for example, some of the things in the class might be like a variable for hair or eye color or height or something like that. Things that every person has but can be a little bit different from person to person. Like hair could be a color, like brown, for example, or it could be a length, like long, medium, short. Eyes could be brown, blue, you know, whatever. And the constructor is what tells it what to fill these values in with. In our case, better villages, since we don't really have anything left, we won't have to worry too much about a constructor. But I'll just throw it up there anyway. To make a constructor, you just name it exactly the same as your class name. And I guess this would be a good point, I forgot to point this out. Your public class right here has to be named exactly the same as your file name. So mod underscore bettervillages.java, as you can see right there, you have to name your public class mod underscore bettervillages. Just the same as your constructor has to be the same as your class name. So for right now, I'll just throw open close parentheses because we don't need any input from anywhere. And throw in two curly brackets like that. And we'll just call our super constructor. Super is a shortcut built into Java that says look into the class we inherit from. In this case, it's base mod. As you can see, it's thrown an error, so let's take a look and see what that is. Constructor call must be the first statement in a constructor. Well, I'd really like to know what it thinks the first call is then. I was just kind of derping out. And it's still throwing an error. Not real sure what the problem is there. Let me look at base mod for a sec. All I did there, I went by that kind of fast, sorry. I just highlighted base mod, right clicked, and hit open declaration. That'll show you where base mod is, well, where it's first declared. In that case, it's right here. This is base mod's constructor, and no, it doesn't take any kind of parameters or input of any kind. I don't know, that's kind of confusing me actually. Well, I'll just leave it be for now. Maybe I'll figure out what's up in a couple minutes, but I'm just going to move past it for now. Go over here to this new again, and we're going to create another class. I'm going to name this class Block Bronze Ores. Now this is going to be the block that we're going to use for our copper and our tin ore. That's why I called it Bronze Ores. So just hit finish there. And as you can see, again, it's just opened up another class file like this. Maybe I'll take a second and explain package. I won't go into it too in depth, but pretty much what it's allowing us to do is see things inside of the Minecraft source. You know, if we didn't have this, our file would just sort of be isolated in a sea of other files, and none of them would be able to see each other. But with package.minecraft.source, what that allows me to do is if I were to type here like block dot. Alright, well, screw the example. Sorry. Lots of things are going on that I'm not real sure why they aren't working. I'm gonna have to poke around in some settings, maybe something's wrong in here. Oh, cool. Okay, I know why. I wasn't inside a constructor. We haven't made a constructor for this yet. So block bronze ores, open close, that, like that. And now if I were to do block dot, then you can see that there's all these different things. There's more methods from block, there's some variables defined in block, and all of them we can access. Whereas if we did not have package, then we'd just be blind. We'd have no idea what block was. So package is it's a good thing. So the first thing that we want to do now that we've got block bronze ores is again we'll want to do extends block, because of course we want to make sure that block bronze ores is a block. So now we'll go down here, super once again, and again super gets a red underline, but this time I expected it. The reason is because the constructor for block takes two variables. If I just highlight block here, open declaration, then let's scroll down to block's constructor, if I can find it. Just one second here. Alright, block. It takes an integer, I, and a material. Now, if we have no idea what material is, we can just highlight that as well, and again, open declaration. And you find that inside of a file called material.java, there's all kinds of materials. Material air, material grass, material ground, and, you know, it's fairly self-explanatory. So go ahead and close material. Back in block bronze ores, we can set material to material dot rock, because our ores are going to be inside of rock, right? And now for this first one, this INTI, let's go ahead and see what that does. You can see I is referenced right here, but that looks real complicated and everything, so let's skip past that. And right here, block ID equals I. I think that's pretty simple. Its ID is I. Back in block bronze here. Oh, that's my timer. That's letting me know that I gotta end this recording off, so I'll just have to split it into two parts. I'll see you again in a sec.